Excellence is not something that appears out of thin air. It's crafted in the quiet moments, the simple choices, and the steady habits we form over time. The world is filled with people waiting for that one big opportunity, believing that when it comes, they'll rise to the occasion and show their true potential. But the reality is, if you haven't trained yourself in the small things, you won't have the discipline, skill, or character to handle the big things when they finally arrive. The foundation of excellence is laid in the daily grind, in the small actions that may seem unimportant at the moment, but add up to something remarkable over time. Each day is a fresh chance to practice discipline, improve your skills, and do a little bit better than yesterday. Excellence is not a sudden achievement. It is a way of living that is proven in consistent, deliberate action. Think about the tasks you face each day. They may seem insignificant. Answering an email, cleaning your workspace, showing up on time, listening carefully in a meeting, following through on a promise. Alone, these moments don't seem to have the power to change your life. But they are the training ground for greater things. Excellence in the small things prepares you to perform at your best when it matters most. It's like a musician practicing scales or an athlete running drills. The small, repetitive actions may seem tedious, but they develop the muscle memory, focus, and confidence to handle high pressure situations later. You don't become world class on the day of the performance. You become world class in the countless days before it when no one is watching. The challenge is that most people overlook this. They're waiting for the big break while neglecting the very habits that will qualify them for it. They think they'll rise to the occasion when the opportunity comes, but the truth is, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation, and preparation happens in the everyday moments, in the quiet repetition of doing things right when it would be easier to cut corners. Excellence is a choice you make over and over again until it becomes part of who you are. It's not about perfection, it's about commitment. Even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when no one would know if you gave a little less. Small, consistent actions are powerful because they compound over time. Just as drops of water can carve stone, your daily habits shape the course of your life. If you commit to doing something with excellence every day, it's impossible not to improve. And as you improve, you gain confidence. You start to expect more from yourself. You begin to notice opportunities you never saw before. The person you become as a result of those daily actions is often more valuable than the results themselves. Excellence is as much about building your character as it is about achieving goals. The more you hold yourself to a high standard in the little things, the more naturally you'll bring that same standard to the big things. It's tempting to think that small actions don't matter. Skipping one workout, being a few minutes late, leaving a task half finished. These things don't seem to carry much weight on their own. But small neglects add up just as quickly as small disciplines. The same way consistent excellence builds momentum in your favor, consistent carelessness works against you. And often, the people who miss out on opportunities aren't held back by one massive failure, but by the accumulation of many small missed chances to be excellent. Excellence is an insurance policy for your future. It protects you from the consequences of laziness, and it positions you for the rewards of diligence. The truth is, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between those who achieve excellence and those who settle for average is not talent, luck, or circumstance. It's how they choose to spend those hours. While most people are content to do the bare minimum, the pursuit of daily excellence demands that you push just a little further. You choose to make one more call, write one more page, learn one more skill, double-check one more detail. You choose to do what others won't, and by making that choice consistently, you build a habit that becomes second nature. Over time, excellence stops feeling like extra effort and starts feeling like the only way you know how to work. When you commit to excellence in small, daily actions, you build a reputation, not just with others, but with yourself. You prove that you can be trusted to follow through, to meet your own standards even when it's inconvenient. This self-trust becomes the foundation for everything else you accomplish. The people who seem to get lucky with big opportunities are often the same people who have been quietly preparing for years. They've been building their skills, refining their habits, and showing up with their best effort day after day. By the time the opportunity comes, they're ready, not because they suddenly decided to be excellent, but because they've been practicing excellence all along. Rewards are never the starting point, they are the result. Too many people fall into the trap of thinking they will give their best effort once they see more recognition, more pay, or more opportunities coming their way. They say, when I get the promotion, then I'll work harder. Or once I'm making more money, then I'll take things seriously. But life doesn't work like that. The order is always the same. You give your best first, and then the rewards follow. Waiting for rewards before giving your best is like waiting for the harvest before planting the seeds. It's backwards thinking, and it's the reason so many never see the results they want. The world responds to demonstrated value, not to potential value. You have to prove your worth through action before the rewards are placed in your hands. When you work with excellence without immediately seeing the payoff, it's a test of character. It's easy to do your best when the reward is instant, when the applause is loud, and when the results are quick. But the real measure of a person is how they act when no one is watching, when the extra effort seems to go unnoticed, when the reward is far off in the distance. In those moments, you are planting seeds in faith, trusting that the harvest will come in time if you stay committed. The person who understands this principle never stops giving their best simply because the reward isn't here yet. They know that consistent effort is the only thing that eventually makes the reward inevitable. Rewards are also a form of trust. Before someone promotes you, pays you more, or gives you a bigger responsibility, they need proof that you can handle what you already have. Excellence in your current role is the proof. If you treat your small responsibilities with care, you show that you can be trusted with larger ones. But if you slack off in your current role while demanding more, you send the message that you can't even be trusted with what you have now. The truth is, people and opportunities are always watching. Maybe not in an obvious way, but every time you choose excellence over mediocrity, you're building a reputation. And in time, that reputation will work in your favor, often when you least expect it. The temptation to wait for rewards before doing your best is a subtle form of self-sabotage. It feels safe because it allows you to hold back effort until you think it's worth it. But that attitude keeps you stuck, because the very effort you're holding back is the key to unlocking the opportunities you want. Rewards are attracted to excellence like a magnet, but if you withhold excellence, you also withhold the magnetism that would bring those rewards into your life. You have to lead with value. You have to be the kind of person who works as if they are already being paid more, already being recognized, already in the role they aspire to. By doing this, you make it easy for others to see you in that position, to justify giving you more because you're already performing at that level. The relationship between effort and reward is also deeply tied to timing. You may give your best today and not see the reward for months, years, or even decades. This can be discouraging if you have a short-term mindset, but if you truly understand that rewards follow excellence, you stop worrying about the timing and focus instead on the quality of your effort. The harvest doesn't come the same day you plant the seed, but the seed you plant today guarantees the harvest later, provided you keep watering it. In the same way, every act of excellence you commit to now is a seed for a future reward. The more seeds you plant, the greater the harvest you'll eventually enjoy. There's also a powerful personal benefit to leading with excellence before the reward. It transforms you into someone who holds themselves to a higher standard, regardless of circumstances. You stop being dependent on outside incentives to do your best work. Instead, you become driven by your own principles and pride in your work. This shift changes everything because now your motivation is internal. You don't wait for the environment to inspire you. You bring the inspiration to the environment, and people notice. They can feel the difference in someone who works with passion and pride regardless of the immediate payoff. Those are the people who rise to the top, because they stand out in a world where most are waiting to be rewarded first. In the end, rewards are not a starting point. They are confirmation. They confirm that the seeds you planted with excellence have taken root, grown, and produced something valuable. They are a natural consequence of the effort, discipline, and commitment you have already demonstrated. You cannot cheat this process. You cannot skip the work and expect the reward to show up. The people who enjoy the most success are the ones who decided to give their best long before the reward was guaranteed. They didn't work for the applause. They worked for the satisfaction of knowing they gave their all, trusting that the applause and the rewards would eventually come as a result of that unwavering commitment. Mediocrity has a way of wrapping itself around you like a warm blanket. It's comfortable, it's easy, and it doesn't ask much of you. You can settle into it without even realizing you've stopped growing. You go through the motions, doing just enough to get by, convincing yourself that it's fine because everyone else is doing the same. That's the trap. Mediocrity feels safe because it keeps you from the discomfort of pushing beyond your current limits. But that same comfort slowly robs you of your potential. Excellence, on the other hand, is anything but comfortable. It demands that you set a higher bar for yourself than the world sets for you. It asks you to do more than what's required, to expect more from yourself than anyone else does, and to consistently choose the harder path when the easier one is right in front of you. Raising your own standards means refusing to accept good enough when you know you are capable of better. It's not about perfection or about competing with anyone else. It's about knowing your true capacity and refusing to sell yourself short. Most people look around, see what others are doing, and match their effort to the average. If everyone else is doing 70%, they think 70% is fine. But if you want excellence, you have to break free from that mindset. Your standard can't be set by the crowd. It has to be set by your own vision of what's possible for you. This is why excellence feels rare. Most people are content to stay where they are because raising the bar means more work, more discipline, and more accountability. The challenge is that the rewards of raising your standards don't show up instantly. You may put in extra effort and not see any immediate difference. You may work harder than those around you and watch them receive the same rewards, or even more, for less effort. This can be discouraging if you measure success only by short-term results. But the real payoff for raising your standards is not just in what you get. It's in who you become. Every time you choose excellence over mediocrity, you're strengthening your discipline, your resilience, and your self-respect. You're building habits and a mindset that prepare you for bigger opportunities down the road. And when those opportunities come, you'll be ready in a way that someone who settled for average never will be. Mediocrity also has a hidden cost. While it might feel comfortable now, it comes with a slow erosion of your ambition and self-belief. The longer you settle for less than your best, the more you convince yourself that your current level is all you're capable of. You stop dreaming bigger because deep down you know you aren't willing to do what it takes to get there. The comfort you once enjoyed turns into a cage, keeping you trapped in the same place year after year. The only way to break out of that cage is to raise your standards, to demand more from yourself before life demands it from you. This means being honest about where you're cutting corners, where you're settling, and where you've stopped trying. That kind of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's the first step toward change. When you raise your standards, you create a new normal for yourself. Things you once considered extra effort become your baseline, At first, this feels difficult, but over time it becomes automatic. You start to feel uncomfortable when you give less than your best because you've trained yourself to expect more. And here's the powerful part. Once you raise your own standards, you stop worrying so much about what others think or how they perform. You stop comparing yourself to the average and start competing only with your own potential. This frees you from the limits that mediocrity imposes on your life. Raising your standards doesn't always mean working harder in every moment. It means working smarter, focusing on the right things, and refusing to accept shortcuts that compromise your values. It's about maintaining excellence even when no one else would notice if you didn't. It's about doing the small things right, even when the big things seem far away. Over time, this creates a level of trust in yourself that's unshakable. You know you can rely on yourself to follow through, to do what needs to be done, and to hold yourself accountable without needing outside pressure. The world has enough people who are fine with being average. It doesn't need more of that. What it needs, what your future needs, is someone who's willing to step beyond what's comfortable and raise the bar, not because anyone told them to, but because they know they're capable of more. That decision alone separates you from the majority. It places you in the small group of people who are willing to demand the best from themselves, even when the rest of the world would settle for less. And while mediocrity might give you comfort today, raising your standards gives you growth, opportunity, and a life you can truly be proud of. Daily excellence has a way of transforming the ordinary into something remarkable. It's not always about grand gestures or once-in-a-lifetime breakthroughs. More often, it's the consistent attention to detail, the small improvements, and the steady application of effort that turns simple opportunities into extraordinary results. When you approach each day with the mindset of giving your best, even in the smallest tasks, you create a ripple effect that changes the outcome of everything you touch. What might have been just another project, another conversation, another routine task suddenly becomes a chance to stand out, to add value, and to leave an impression that lasts far beyond the moment. Opportunities rarely arrive looking like opportunities. They often come disguised as ordinary work, minor challenges, or everyday interactions. The difference between someone who turns these moments into something special and someone who lets them pass by is the level of excellence they bring to them. If you treat each of these moments as if they matter, because they do, you multiply the potential of what they can become. A simple meeting could lead to a partnership. A routine task done exceptionally well could open the door to a promotion. A small act of kindness done with genuine care could create a relationship that changes your future. None of this happens by accident. It happens when you decide that there's no such thing as an unimportant moment. The beauty of daily excellence is that it builds momentum. Every time you commit to doing something well, you set a higher standard for yourself, and that standard carries over into the next task, the next challenge, and the next opportunity. Over time, excellence stops feeling like extra effort. It becomes your natural way of working and living. This not only improves the quality of your results, but also builds a reputation that precedes you. People begin to associate your name with reliability, quality, and trust. They know that when you're involved, the outcome will be better, and that reputation draws bigger and better opportunities your way. One of the reasons daily excellence is so powerful is that most people don't practice it. The average person is content with doing just enough to get by, which means that the gap between good enough and excellent is wide. When you operate on the side of excellence, you instantly separate yourself from the crowd. You don't have to compete as hard for recognition because your work speaks for itself. Your consistent quality becomes your advantage, and opportunities naturally gravitate toward you because people want to work with someone they can count on to deliver. This doesn't mean that daily excellence is easy. In fact, it often requires doing things you'd rather not do, paying attention to details others ignore, and putting in effort when it would be easier to coast. But that extra attention and effort are exactly what transform ordinary outcomes into extraordinary ones. When you push yourself to refine your work, to go beyond the obvious, to anticipate problems before they arise, you create results that feel effortless to others but are built on a foundation of discipline and care. It's this unseen investment that makes your work stand out and opens doors that remain closed to those who settle for average. Daily excellence also changes how you see opportunities. Instead of waiting for the big break, you begin to realize that every day is full of them. They may be small, but small opportunities are often the seeds of larger ones. By treating each one as important, you create a chain reaction. One well-executed task leads to trust. Trust leads to responsibility. Responsibility leads to influence. Influence leads to more significant opportunities. Before you know it, what began as small acts of excellence has transformed your career, your relationships, and your life. It's important to understand that daily excellence is not about perfection. It's about intention. It's the decision to give your best within your current resources and abilities, knowing that this will expand over time. It's about refusing to let the ordinary stay ordinary. When you decide that every moment, every task, and every opportunity matters, you unlock a level of potential that others miss. You stop seeing work as a checklist and start seeing it as a canvas where you can make your mark. That shift in mindset is often the difference between a life that drifts and a life that builds something meaningful. In a world where many people wait for the perfect moment to give their best, daily excellence flips the equation. You give your best now, in this moment, with what you have, and in doing so, you create the perfect moments later. The opportunities that seem extraordinary in hindsight are almost always born from ordinary beginnings, elevated by the consistent choice to show up with excellence day after day.